that I don't know.
Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to No Bullshit with Kyle and Kelly. Until we come up with a better name, we have yet to do so.
I gave up a while ago.
You gave up?
I told you many times that
I know you hated it, and I'm not
I
getting
don't hate
offered.
it. I don't hate it. It's just already been.
It's
already
a
thing. I like it. The reason I like it is because it's a good title, but it's a good title and it's been taken. It's been used. It's a YouTube channel.
No bullshit kind of people.
But we just add the with Kyle and Kelly, and it's just like copyright golden.
Yeah, we got this shit. Yeah, that's not really the point though. Here, we're here to talk about safe injection sites. I've been seeing this pop up a lot because there's talk of one going, the first one in the U.S. starting in California.
You know what? I don't know. When I looked it up yesterday, I don't know if the article, I didn't click on the link, but I looked up the safe injection site in California, and the first thing I saw on Google was that it got rejected. But I don't know if that is.
Well,
I don't know if that was a recent. I don't know if that was a recent.
They're the closest.
Seattle's talking about it too.
Yes, but it seems they're the closest. From what I did actually read the article, and they're just the closest to getting one. So this brings up a lot of this. Go ahead. This brings up a lot of controversy with people regarding these, and I'm going to speak really honestly here. When I very first heard about these sites, I was creeped the fuck out, okay? Because I'm not an addict, and what I had in my mind was like this dark, dingy room just with a bunch of, I had men in my mind. I know this is terrible stigma, but I'm going to be completely honest here. This is what I thought of when I heard these. Just a bunch of creepy dudes in this dark, dirty room shooting up, and that's that. And I don't even know that I really even thought any further than that, but we really kind of want to, once I heard the facts about these programs, my mind was completely changed. So I'm hoping that by perhaps educating people that you'll get that sort of weird idea out of your head, and also
see what you're picturing in your head. What you pictured in your head is exactly what's happening now anyway. Like that's just what people do. Not even because most people use it alone.
Like honestly, like the old Dare, like like the men in the alley, sort of. I mean, it's
those guys who don't exist.
Like, that is what I thought of. Yeah, that is what I thought of, and I'm being honest because I feel like a lot of other people perhaps are that ignorant that that's what they're thinking. And they're also thinking, why are we enabling people to do heroin? Heroin's enabling people to do heroin.
Heroin is a really good selling.
Yeah,
it sells itself. Like you don't have to.
We don't need to enable people to do it. We need to enable people not to do it. That's a whole nother topic.
Speaking from an addict standpoint.
Thank you.
I was not.
Hi, Shane.
You're not going to enable me. I was enabling myself.
Exactly.
Like all these other factors were enabling me. What safe injection sites do are there's a number of things. We'll get into it. But most importantly, they decrease overdose deaths, diseases, crime.
They help the community, and that's what I feel like non-addicts need to hear. We're keeping the needles off the streets. We're keeping these people from shooting up in McDonald's bathrooms where your little kid's going to be walking in. That's what this is doing for the community.
Because addicts are going to use no matter what,
yes.
And they're going to use dirty needles.
Yes.
And this is the only thing. Like needle exchanges are amazing. They're doing everything they can, harm reduction kits, all those things. But the only thing that they can't provide is a safe place to use. And that when an addict is left to his own device, I've used anywhere in public, on the bus, just real quick, just reach down because I have good veins, so it's just easy for me to shoot up anywhere. So nothing's going to stop me if I just stop on the side of the road, shoot up real quick, and then I never.
A lot of people. That's why you find all these people in their cars that are knotted out, because the second you get to your dealer's house, you're already sick sometimes, and you just want to do this as quickly as possible. So.
And then and then you're all right. So real quick, the average. Wait, what was it? The overdoses have become like the number one cause of death for Americans under 50, which is decreasing the overall lifespan of Americans. Like
that. Think about that for a minute. It's decreasing the span of life for Americans.
And the one thing that these facilities can boast,
I mean, that's
is that they have 0 deaths in their facilities. And also, while you're there as an addict, like if you become very isolated. But the more you're around other people, and the more you're going to these facilities, which are more generally they're more like a hospital situation.
It's not that dirty room I was picturing. It's a medicinal sort of setting.
It's medically supervised. They test it for you.
There's probably lights. The lights are everywhere.
There are overdoses that happen, but 0 deaths because they revive you on the spot.
Yeah.
And then while you're there,
they're also not giving out heroin too. I just want to point that out. They're not handing out heroin.
So that's another thing people bring up all the time is like, well, what's going to stop police from just arresting them outside? Like, technically nothing. If the police really want to be dicks and hang outside, that's more of like a state law kind of thing. Because like technically,
legislators really going to come in.
What they're doing is technically right now, as far as I read, like it is like illegal nationwide, but it's similar to what marijuana law. Just hold on, I'm trying to talk about this right now.
Sorry.
Similar to what they're doing with the marijuana laws is state laws. Like they can crack down if they really want to be assholes, which they do in certain situations. But this is such a prevalent thing. Like if this was anything else killing this many people would be all about whatever helps to stop. Like what? But there's a stigma behind it that really.
Yeah, and I was guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie. I had that stigma. I had that creepy men in the dark alley sort of.
So I put up in the description. I put up a link to a website that has like has citations and like a lot of like statistics and facts about like the most issues that get brought up, like people thinking that it's going to enable. There's really no evidence.
That's the biggest thing
there's really no evidence of that. There's slightly, from what we can tell, there's slightly like smaller deals going around in the area, but that's what can be expected. If you know addicts are going to be over there, then you're going to sell it to them. But I mean, that's stuff that needs to be addressed like separately. This isn't a solution by any means.
No.
We have to fight this with the tools that they're giving us, and the government is not. They're throwing breadcrumbs at these starving people, like as a terrible analogy that I'm just going to use real quick.
We have to think outside the box here. As a community, I mean, this is benefiting everybody to have these facilities in place. Like I said, we're keeping clean or dirty needles off the streets. We're keeping your kids from seeing people shooting up all over the place. These are things that help everyone, not even just the suffering addict who could perhaps overdose. And it builds relationships. It builds trust. If you have the same people going to these facilities all the time with the same staff members, if or when they decide they want help, they have a safe person they can go to and talk to.
The more
someone who knows access to care, I would imagine, if they're in the facility.
The more you're around people, especially medical professionals, like the more apt you are to like. Most addicts, they know they need help, and it's like actually admitting it. But the more often you're around somebody who's offering it, and just to talk to somebody is always good.
Judgment-free conversation.
And they do a lot of them. They do offer. There's some in other countries. I forget. See, just go to the website. I was just reading the website, but they throw a lot at me,
Vancouver.
And I wasn't feeling very good. The Netherlands have a lot of them, and Germany has a bunch. But
I believe there's 120.
And it varies because
in the world, none here.
You can't. They're hard statistics to gather because the usage of people vary from the age to tolerance to how long they've been using to the frequency of their use.
However, no deaths?
No deaths. So that's really like...
I mean, we're losing 174 people a day currently here in the United States. I mean, anything we can do to give somebody another day for a chance to recover, why wouldn't we be doing that? After I read that, I mean, really... my mind was completely changed, and I really strongly suggest that people do their homework and look up the facts before you just go with that initial.
Yeah, the Vancouver one has a lot of good data. But the website that I put up there, like I
said, Drug Effects on the Vancouver one in the past. I don't have it.
But I did it. Nothing I saw was like past like 2012 last time I looked or something like that. I don't remember, which is.
No, I don't know.
It's only gotten a lot worse.
If we find better links, we'll link them. But
this one, like I said, it has a lot of like it addresses like the points that most people make when they bring up like these injection sites. Like it's gonna attract more users.
Let's
it's gonna attract
crime. A little bit better what these safe injection sites are, so people actually know, and they're not having just that weird picture in their head like I did.
Well, you can look up. You can go on YouTube and find videos of the people using the Vancouver one.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know
those are the only ones
I've
ever seen.
That.
So basically, you go in there and you don't buy the heroin there. You have your own heroin, but they test it for you, which is good because most of it's fentanyl now. So you go in and it's basically like a kiosk, like in front of you. Like picture like when you picture like how you see jails on TV, how you have the phone across from like a glass table, except there's no glass in between. You just sit in between, and there's a medical professional there to help you out. I don't know, they don't have to cook it up for you, whatever, but they're there for you, like regardless. So if you do too much, they'll Narcan you, and they'll
you're getting safe needles.
Yes,
and I want to really strongly impress upon people also the benefit of that to the community, because the spread of hepatitis C is increasing all the time, and a lot of that has to do with IV drug use. And also HIV is just kind of plateauing. It's not decreasing at all. So the more we can keep this out of the community, you can't necessarily look at a crowd now and pick out who's an addict. They're not your stereotypical
especially since
person anymore.
There's a lot of users who aren't necessarily addicts either. There's a lot of there are a lot more casual users than people realize too. Like it's not something people talk about, and they're not in support groups because they don't feel they have a problem. And it generally
that could be
generally but this is something like,
and the age difference too.
That's another thing. This is reaching people that generally, like the older addicts, and especially homeless people who have never been into treatment before, who've just been doing this for such a long time. This is reaching them more specifically. I don't remember which.
That's a huge.
I don't remember which one specifically it was. Like I said, most of it is in that link that I put in, like I said, but it's reaching more of the people who have never had treatment before or never experienced anything like this before. So I just don't understand. Why. Like I understand people's trepidation behind it. I understand the initial shock because they think, oh, you're just legalizing.
We're enabling
short
people,
of legalizing.
We're enabling people to do heroin.
We could go on a whole different tangent about legalization because that.
Oh no, let's not get into that.
I'm just saying, but short of legalization, and because ultimately, addicts aren't inherently criminals. Like our behavior causes us to do criminal things to fund our habit and to keep using. But these type of things cut down on that.
Yeah, drugs. I didn't even think of that aspect.
Drugs definitely hurt people, but drug laws hurt people a lot more because addicts, for the most part, are very sick people and they need help.
Yeah.
And if you throw them in jail and keep throwing them in jail and just try to make stricter laws and throw them in jail even further,
it's not working. That's what we've been doing. It's not working.
Yeah, what we've done in the past has gotten us exactly in this epidemic that we're in right now.
It's just getting worse.
And if these facilities have evidence that they can help in any way, I don't see
why the fuck not.
I don't see why. And then there's another thing, like people worry about, like, oh, their tax dollars are paying for it and stuff like that. Your tax
dollars are paying for abscesses, for all the diseases that are being spread, for
unpaid funeral costs and shit like that.
Yeah, come on. I mean,
it actually is cutting down. It's saving a lot of money because in the long run, especially with arrests and everything like that, you're not sending them to jail, and then that costs taxpayers money too.
Yeah, how many resources are being used on courts and jail and free lawyers, and we're paying for all that stuff.
You cut all that out, and you're actually saving money. So it's
kind of a win-win. I don't know. What are your opinions? I'm seeing so many emojis going across the board right now. If you have an opinion, go ahead and speak up. It doesn't have to necessarily agree with ours, but
because this isn't,
we're going to throw some facts at you that
this isn't like a perfect solution. This is just
a tool.
Like what we can do right now to help. Like I don't remember when I specifically heard about safe injection sites for the first time, but I was definitely already an addict or clean at the time, and it just instantly, I knew it was a good idea. Like
I didn't. See, I was the person that didn't know it was a good idea right off the bat.
Like I said, I would use no matter where I was, what I was doing. I never threw away my needles or anything, but that cuts down people. You see that stuff online all the time. Like, oh, I found these needles in the bathroom again. Like
just the next town over, they're finding them all over the baseball field that the little kids are playing on. I mean, and people are like, we don't want these sites in our neighborhood. Do you want dirty needles all over your neighborhood?
It's already in your neighborhood.
It is there. I mean, what you're doing is actually you're going to be able to protect and shelter your children more if that's your concern by having these places.
And most importantly, you're keeping people alive longer in order to get help.
That is the most important thing. But unfortunately, communities, that's not always their first thought. Their first thought is me. How does this affect me?
It doesn't. In the long run, like,
no, it does. It does. It's keeping the community safe and cutting down on costs.
Yeah, it does positively, but that's the thing. Like, they don't want to listen to. I don't know. It's annoying.
All right.
But I understand because.
Well, the cat's
my cat is an asshole.
He really is an asshole. He's a little Napoleon. All right, go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
Our cats are assholes. So, I don't know. I mean, I can understand people's trepidation at you know, when I first saw these, like I've said, it just, you know, not having ever been a user, it was foreign. It wasn't something I was accustomed to seeing, and you know, I didn't necessarily immediately think it was enabling people because, like Kyle said, you're going to use if you're going to use, but it's still just the whole idea of it creeped me out until I really actually read a few articles and did my homework and saw the data, and the data is showing that this is cutting down on deaths significantly. Why wouldn't we want to embrace that? That's what I can't understand. Why don't we want to do whatever the fuck it takes to save a life? I mean, I know firsthand, I've done whatever the fuck it takes.
And the evidence so far has shown that what the safe injection sites have attempted to accomplish, they've for the most part achieved. And it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not going to save people's lives. And it
is. I mean, it could literally overnight save a life.
Well, I'm talking about like everybody, like you know what I mean. Like it's not going to. This isn't like I said, a solution to the entire problem. Because if the government really wanted to stop this, they could help out a lot more than they are. But fuck them.
Oh, that Bill Cosby voice gets me every time. But it's creepy as hell. Let's not get into the government stuff. I don't know.
They're the ones who are forcing our hand to try these things, and they're the ones impeding the progress on actual education. All they want to do is enforce more drug laws, which
I don't know. That's not necessarily true.
What are you talking about? I can show you an article.
All they want to. I don't know. Let's not get into the politics of it too much. Let's not get into the politics too much.
All right. Well,
because that's going to be a whole another tangent. We're talking about safe injections.
Well, it just stems from that, because the only reason we need something like this is because they're not fucking helping. Like, I don't understand how that doesn't have to do with it. Like, that is literally the reason we have to do this, and they're still trying to stop it. Like, they're still attacking marijuana like it's a big fucking deal. Like, come on, like, wake the fuck up. This is bullshit. People are fucking dying. If this was anything else, killing this many fucking people, the National Guard would be called in. This is absurd. Like, what was it, 65,000 people in 2016 estimated? And that is a low ball. That is just like what they could tell. Like, this is not counting unreported. It's absurd. So to say that we shouldn't talk about the government is like a little insulting, because it's their fucking fault we're in this in the first place. It's their fault that we have to do this, and they're the ones who are still like increasing the stigma. Like it's absurd. Like if you just raise fucking awareness, they have the ability. There's a flu epidemic going on right now, and they're spending billions of dollars to help that.
That's very
if you really wanted to, you could provide every fucking hospital in the country with naltrexone and other things to help.
Well,
detox, like everything. Like you could do this.
Everywhere
you could easily do this, but they're dragging their goddamn feet because there's too much money involved for too many powerful people. That's really the fucking answer.
And these.
Sorry, I just got really upset right there. But
these facilities are not costing a lot to run and maintain, it to the best of my knowledge. I mean, it's a lot less than a stint in rehab. You know, the whole point of harm reduction is to keep people.
Oh, that's another thing, real quick. I'm sorry. What happens when someone overdoses on the street and they get brought into the hospital and they don't have money to pay for it? Then that's your tax bills end up paying for it.
Yes.
So if you're using these safe injection sites and you're overdosing and not dying, then that's right there. That amount of people who are not having to not wasting the
EMS.
Exactly, the EMS and the police. You're not wasting all their time. They can keep doing what they're doing on a regular basis. Meanwhile,
that's
where,
an excellent
like, as an addict, you're in a safe place where you're not going to overdose, and because
you're not alone. You perhaps have someone you can connect with, and that's
the number one thing too. You have someone you can talk to, and I can't stress how important that is as an addict when you're really struggling. Just to talk to somebody,
anyone.
It just possibly enable people to use. See.
No, because Jackie, they're going to use wherever they are, regardless.
And it's way more dangerous to use like just by yourself or even with other people, because so even with the Good Samaritan laws, people still will just dump you on the street.
It's not a perfect law, unfortunately, or people don't know. We work really hard with our harm reduction agency here to educate people on the Good Samaritan law, so they know. Can I be here when the police arrive or EMS, or do I need to bounce? I mean, that's what we're educating people on.
And that wastes time. Like,
yeah,
if
does.
If you're trying to Google the Good Samaritan law while your friend's dying. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you wouldn't see all these overdose clients because they would be in a safe environment being taken care of.
And someone who is very well educated on overdoses is going to immediately pick up on it and be able to Narcan them immediately. They're going to be able to reduce the damage that's done after an overdose. I mean, sometimes when people are out for a long time, I mean, there is lasting damage that's never going to go away no matter what. So that also helps reduce that.
So, yeah. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I'm forgetting, but like I said, that website that I put it has citations for all its data. It's really good. It threw a lot at me, so I couldn't remember it all. But it has most of.
I mean, that's really what changed my mind about the whole thing was the data. I mean, data doesn't lie.
And you can look up.
It's working, and it's not increasing usage by any means. If anything, it's doing the opposite.
You can look up specifically the statistics for the Vancouver one or any facility.
Yeah,
really.
Is, Jackie. Here in Connecticut, pharmacists are able to prescribe it. A lot of the pharmacies.
Most places now are really trying to do that too, but that's awesome. Like with Narcan, everybody should have Narcan around them.
However, if you're using alone and you have Narcan, it's useless.
Exactly. Or totally like if most addicts when they use, they're using. Well, what I did, I would just go home or go anywhere into a bathroom. Luckily, I never overdosed. But
even parents, though,
if you have
it's great to have the Narcan. But I hear so many that are finding their children the next morning in bed. I mean, you're not checking on them every 10 minutes.
And
I mean, you should have it by all means.
And a lot of the times, it's
nowadays
it's fentanyl or carfentanil. So your Narcan, it's gonna help maybe, but you're also gonna have to call EMS. And like I said a couple minutes ago, that takes EMS out of what they were doing, which is great. This is what they're supposed to be doing too. This is saving lives.
Yeah, they should be saving lives.
But that's another like 10, 15 minutes before they show up and have their Narcan and then get you to the hospital. While meanwhile, if you were in the safe injection site, you cut out all of that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to do any of that.
Somebody there that they're well versed in this. They've been doing this. I mean, these harm reduction people that are on the streets every day, they know their shit. Let me tell you, they can pick someone out of a crowd that's ODing like instantly and
them
right off the bat. And like I said, they're eliminating like so many costs, so many risks to the person. It's just I don't know. It's just a win-win as far as I see.
Yeah, and people look at this and they're like, oh, it's you don't just go in there, get high, and leave. It's not like a McHeroin drive-through or like you know what I mean. Like you don't just.
Yeah, it sounds like a McHeroin.
Yeah, Ooh, sounds delicious.
With some Xanax in it.
All right.
Sorry, that's triggering it.
That's the overdose flurry. No, but it's not like that. You bring your own in. Like obviously you still have to buy it somewhere.
Yeah, they're not
and that part of it,
there.
but it still cuts down on all these other things. Like
yeah, I mean, Jackie, you're right. I mean, there is a lot of drugs out there that there's not an antidote to, but opiates are by far the #1 cause of deaths in the country right now.
And it's not specifically just heroin either.
Laura.
You can go in there and use other drugs. Like
yeah,
they're
not discriminate.
I mean, granted, overdose on other drugs is different, and but you're still in a.
But you have someone who's going to pick up on those signs right away because
and
they have lived it. They've been on the streets. They know. They've seen it 100 times. Well, more.
Yes, Jacqueline, but they provide testing kits at the facility.
Yeah, like we have actually here in Connecticut, Jackie, we have fentanyl strips that are free for active users. A lot of the dealers even are going and getting these strips and testing their shit because they're realizing it's not good business, and they're businessmen, to kill your client's health.
Yes.
So they're
Healthcare
actually testing their own stuff, and they're finding it more in dealers' houses. And plus, they're doing jail time now when people OD, so they don't want to be that person that killed somebody. So we're actually seeing a slight decrease in fentanyl in Connecticut, and I think the strips are a big reason why.
And Jackie, it's all medically supervised, and I don't know if you were here earlier, but the biggest stat in my mind is the 0 deaths in any of these facilities.
Yeah, that changed my mind completely.
It's huge. Like they do have overdoses still, and it's still a very small amount because if they test you, they'll monitor you, and if you know you have something that's much stronger than you can handle. I don't know.
There's ways.
It varies. It varies because there's, like I was saying earlier, there's different levels of drug use.
Yeah, Jackie, I want to stress that, like in my mind, I just pictured like this dark, dingy room with a bunch of weirdos, but it is a medical facility that it's a medical facility. I mean, you have trained people, you have clinicians there, you have people that are well versed in harm reduction. So it is a clinical setting that this is being done in. It's not that dark room that I envisioned.
No, that's what they're using already.
But
if they're lucky, honestly, because most addicts use by themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people do. And
even if they don't, you're using it at the same time as somebody else. If you both have a bad bag, guess what? One of you is. Even if both of you don't die. But that's another
thing. The harm reduction people really try to educate on is, even if you're using with someone else, one of you go first. Check the other person. Make sure you have the Narcan. I mean, these people are going to be educating on harm reduction, and again, you're giving someone a safe person to go to if they decide they do want to get help, and you're reducing the risk of it, or the spread of diseases and infections in the whole community. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, really. Do you?
No, there's very limited downsides, but the benefits far outweigh the risks.
Jackie, I really like what you just said, the overdose ER.
Exactly, too. There's a lot of judgment in ERs.
My daughter, was at the ER after her overdose, and it was the way she had been treated before I got there was disgusting. I was in the medical field at the time, so when I went to get her, I was in scrubs, and all of a sudden there was this change of attitude in the nurse, but many people don't get that opportunity.
Yes, I mean, that's what I was talking about. That's the one in Vancouver, I believe. But yeah, I was saying the same thing.
No, I definitely saw.
Like I said, there's
no, they don't, Jackie. They don't at all.
I don't know if Kurt just joined in, but the link that I put up, yeah, exactly. There's a link I put up also that has data for the other ones in like the Netherlands and Germany and Australia. They also have success rates, but Vancouver so far is, especially since it's in North America, people tend to gravitate towards the data there. And we were just talking about that, the specifically the 0 deaths and the diseases that have dropped and the crime rate. Granted, heroin use has skyrocketed still everywhere, but that has nothing to do with the
harm reduction is different. I mean,
yeah, that has nothing to do with these facilities. That's just what's happening all around anyway.
The goal is not it's to meet people where they're at. The goal of harm reduction is to meet people where they're at and to keep them as safe as possible wherever they are. And if they want help, that's fine. And if they don't, we're going to give you the tools to be safe. That's the whole purpose. And you can't help someone who's dead.
Yep.
And people that get these, you know, illnesses that are going to stay with you for life, like HIV, are going to be a lot less likely to be as motivated to want the help, because they're already seeing their life. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, harm reduction is really important. Yeah, Kurt, we were talking about that before, that the fentanyl strips are, you know, would be available to people so that at least they know what they're getting. And if they still choose to use it, they can do a test bump and make sure that, you know, like Kyle,
you can always use more, but never. No, yeah, you can always use more, but never less.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I never overdosed. I got real lucky, but I was always, I don't know, the old measure twice, cut once thing.
But a lot of addicts do not have that mindset. Yeah. Let me tell you. I mean,
I know. I mean, I was still, but even in that sense, I was still the one who wanted to do it right away, and I still didn't know what I was getting. So even if I did a small amount, that still true. Easily could have killed me.
I mean, if it was straight up, you know, or carfentanil or something, yeah.
So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I got lucky, but I mean, I did use as clean of needles as I could, and I didn't share needles.
As clean of needles.
Exactly.
And like.
But if I had this as an opportunity.
How clean was your water? Yeah.
Water bottle. I don't know.
Wow. Okay, that's better than what I usually hear.
I didn't use toilet water. I mean, I was very lucky as a heroin.
So you were a cautious user, which is
as cautious as I could be.
Not always the norm.
As cautious as I could be. We'll say that. But I mean, it didn't happen all the time. If I was desperate, I was scraping my spoon or
Jackie.
Like whatever the fuck I had to do.
God, I miss you. I gotta see you soon.
So.
She's good peeps. All right. I don't know. I just would encourage people to try to look past the initial shock factor, because there may be that initial shock factor. Do your homework. Yeah, look at the data. I mean,
check out that link.
It doesn't lie.
And then check out Insight, which is the Vancouver facility. But the link that I put up there,
Jackie, soon.
The link that I put up in the video in the description it's really long, so I'm gonna give you a heads up. But it addresses all these points and other points that we didn't get to. And other things that people bring up, and it has citations for everything. And it's not just this is just a link for the supervised consumption, but it has other links for everything else, whether it's heroin, marijuana, like all sorts of. So that website, I just found that today.
Just get educated. I mean, I was that person that was creeped out big time by the whole thought of it, but my mind has been completely changed. And it was very quickly, and this is more like last year I'm talking about that I first heard about these. And so I just would encourage people, keep an open mind. Let's use whatever tools are out there for now. Like Kyle said, it's not a solution. It's just something that's going to help buy us some more time until we can really get a handle on this. I mean, we're decreasing the lifespan of Americans with this epidemic. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if we're capable of making short videos.
Can share the video, yeah.
We tend to run on and so you can share this video. I mean, I know it's long, but we also repeated ourselves a couple times. So if you really only watch like glimpses of each part of this video, you'll get the gist of it.
So we should shut up. That's the whole point.
Yeah, we never plan on doing these this long.
We should shut up. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Tell me to shut up.
Please do your homework about safe injection sites. That's all we're asking. Do your homework. Then make an educated decision about where you stand with them. And if you're in agreement with them, please be vocal. I mean, I cannot talk. Legislation needs to hear about this. If you're a believer, then please make it known. It could save lives. It will definitely save lives. All right. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.